Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of games I bought recently and also games I've been playing. Gonna try a little bit of a modified version of my old format because I want to talk about games that I've been playing even if I don't have a physical copy to hold up and show you guys, and also just kind of talk about some of the games that I've been playing and beating or am in progress of playing. So what do you say we jump right in and obviously start with the elephant in the room here? I'm sure some of you audibly gasped when you saw me holding a copy of this, or maybe at this point, maybe it's not much of a surprise with me anymore. But I did pick up MindsEye, which right now is notorious for being one of the worst games that has come out this year, and in many people's eyes, the worst game of the year. I actually purposely bought a copy of this when I saw how glitchy and broken it was, because I'll be honest with you, I love really glitchy, broken games, especially glitchy, broken modern games, because it's a ton of fun to stream these games. We love laughing with my audience when I'm streaming them at all the funny stuff that happens, and this is absolutely a 10 out of 10 streaming game. So many laughs, so many fun moments, but that's not to excuse the fact that this is an extremely unfinished and yes, broken game. The frame rate can sometimes dip to probably below 10 frames a second during outside driving sequences. There are tons of weird bugs and glitches with characters interacting in weird ways or not interacting at all. The gunplay is very underbaked. It's a third-person shooting game that only has a cover system. There's no rolling, there's no jumping, there's no nothing. It's very basic on that end. However, I will give it credit where credit is due. The driving sequences in MindsEye actually control really, really nicely. I feel like they nailed that portion of the game. If they actually would have just made this a straight up driving game with missions and chase sequences, they could have really been onto something here. Unfortunately, that's not what it is. There's a giant, beautiful, when you're not moving, open world in the game that actually looks great. There's a lot of detail and it's kind of fun to drive around in and look, but once you get out of your car and start exploring on foot, there's actually nothing to do. There's no collectibles, there's random side missions that you can find like Oblivion portals to enter to play that I almost completely ignored because those side missions are just terrible. The story is boring and I instantly became not interested in it after just like 30 minutes with the game. But it's a heck of a lot of fun to play and laugh at, I'll tell you that. I am playing on purpose the unpatched version, so version 1.0, because I wanted to see what people were playing when they were reviewing this game and also what people were playing on day one when this game received most of its backlash. So I wanted to be able to experience that and not play like some patched version that I wouldn't completely understand all the backlash to begin with, potentially. So do I recommend MindsEye? Absolutely not. It's a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10 at best if you're just kind of playing it to play a functioning, playable game, and it is playable. But I would advise you to wait until this game is not only on sale and in the bargain bin, but to definitely wait until they get a few patches in. But be sure to stop by my stream sometime, where I've uploaded part one of my playthrough to my second VOD channel. So like the first 6 hours or so, and we had an absolute blast. I was laughing like crazy at this game. Super fun. I'll have a link to that in the description below if you want to check that out. But moving on to the next game that thankfully, hey, we still got physical games, right? At least we got to be thankful for that. At least I can still hold up game boxes as of right now. I did pick up a new Switch 2 game, and that is Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. First, I just want to point out one thing. They include a really fun, full-color manual inside of here with a bunch of tips and tricks and things about the game. So it's really nice when publishers are still doing stuff like that. I picked this up because I actually hadn't played the Rune Factory series since Rune Factory Frontiers on the Wii, and previously to that, the only ones I had played were like the first and second one, I believe, on the DS. So I haven't played any of the recent ones, which I've heard are really great, especially Rune Factory 5. So I figured I'd give this one a chance, but I went in expecting a game that was going to be sort of like 50-50 on the farming aspect and combat. And what I got was a game that is seemingly more so like 90% action and combat and story and 10% a farming simulator. What do I mean by this is they almost make you go completely hands off with the farming aspect. Almost everything is handled automatically. You recruit villagers and they kind of take care of your farm and your village for you. And it's very hands off. It's more of a village like simulator than a farming game. It's more so the micromanagement of the NPCs that you recruit, which then work for you. Which after a bit I was kind of liking in terms of you go out into the outside dungeons, You defeat monsters, you recruit NPCs, and then they kind of specialize in maybe they're better at being a merchant, maybe they're better at being someone that farms, somebody that mines. So that was kind of neat. It is fully voice acted, and there's a lot of party members, and I appreciate that because it is an action RPG where you can actually have 3 party members with you in combat. So it's not just like you and like one random NPC running around. So I did like the customization on that end. Though from where I am in the game, which is about 6 hours in, it does seem like your party members are very hands off. They kind of just do their own thing, and it's really hard. I don't even know if there's a way you can see what abilities they're using. I'm not sure if you have any influence over that. Maybe I haven't gotten to that point in the game, but it does feel very much like you're just kind of running around with a bunch of NPC characters that kind of just completely act on their own. You have no control over what they're doing, which was a little disappointing. Other than that, the game looks good. It runs very smooth on the Switch too. And I also want to give a quick plug to this, because man, this controller has been amazing so far. I'm so glad I picked this up. I did pick up the Switch 2 Pro controller, and wow. For those of you that are on the fence, I think this may be my new favorite modern game controller. The DualSense may slightly edge it out because the DualSense is fairly comfortable, and I do like the DualSense vibration, but this also has really good HD Rumble 2 or whatever they're calling it. But what I love is the matte finish on this thing just feels amazing in your hands. And the form factor, it feels like it's like really the best fit for my hands out of all the modern controllers. It's super smooth. The joysticks feel really good and snappy and responsive. The D-pad is finally excellent. It's a really good D-pad. I played that Ghosts and Goblins or Ghosts and Ghouls, whatever the heck, the new one that came out on Switch last year with the Pro controller, or 2 years ago. And that was really hard to play with the original Switch Pro D-pad. This feels so much more clicky, so much more responsive. The buttons are nice and big. The shoulder buttons are good. Like literally everything about this controller is excellent so far, and I do recommend it. It's expensive, but I can tell that this is going to be probably my favorite modern controller going forward, and I was using it while playing Rune Factory. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about Rune Factory for now. I just wanted to mostly warn people that it is definitely more of an action RPG, a very beautiful action RPG. The outdoor environments are great. It's got this nice Japanese flair and style to it. And I've been enjoying it, just a little bit different than what I was expecting. So let's go in now and talk about some of the games that I don't have a physical box to hold up and show you, but I have been playing. So I did play Capcom Fighting Collection 2. I was given full disclosure here, I was given a key of the game from Capcom because I do have access to Capcom games. So if I want a key for a game, I can get it. And that's how I played it. I specifically wanted this for Power Stone 2, which is one of my favorite fighting games ever, if not like top 3 fighting game of all time. It's super good, super fun. I've always loved Power Stone 2. Don't get me wrong, I love Power Stone 1, but I was very excited to play Power Stone 2 online with 4 people just duking it out. It's such a fun, brainless party game, sort of, in a way to play. It doesn't involve a ton of skill like Power Stone 1 would, but I really like the item system and the chaos of 4 players online with Power Stone 2. But I was very disappointed because I was unaware that if you wanted to play with 4 players online, and you wanted to do ranked, right? You wanted to like show off how we are climbing the leaderboards against other players. It's only 1 versus 1. So it's you versus a human player and then 2 AI characters. And every time I did that mode, it was just me and the other person ignoring the AI and just going for each other, which was kind of disappointing. Very disappointing, actually. I was so looking forward to doing 4-player online ranked battles. Now, there are 4-player battles, but you have to join custom lobbies. And I played this a few days after release, and it was pretty much dead. There was only 1 lobby going, and from what I can understand, there was no voice chat during the gameplay, only in the lobbies, which is, kind of whatever. But the lobbies were non-existent, and I was playing in prime time, like 9 p.m. Eastern, and there was nobody playing. So I would advise you, if you're buying this specifically to play Power Stone 2 online, just know this. There's no crossplay. I was playing on PS5, so this is a big issue as well. If they did crossplay with PC, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, I'm sure there'd be more lobbies, but there aren't. So be very careful about what platform you're buying this on. I don't know what one to recommend you, but the PS5 was pretty dead. It was a lot of fun to come back and play some Power Stone 2, though, let me tell you. I still love that game. Love it just as much as I did back on the Dreamcast days, but I was pretty disappointed with the online. I tried out a high score mode, climbed up the leaderboards on there a bit, but it was a very weird mode where you're pretty much just incentivized to only use items and collect coins and not do anything else. Normal fighting is pretty much non-existent in that mode. You just want to spam items. It was a little odd. I also did play surprisingly, something that I really enjoyed and didn't expect it, Plasma Sword on this collection. First time I had played this game and series in general, and I really, really liked it. I love the goofy characters. The stories of these characters were so weird and wacky, and I like fighting games that have really out there alien-like monster characters, and Plasma Sword did not disappoint. This game was crazy. I liked it enough to beat it a couple of times on a few different characters, and yeah, I even played online and won some matches, so I was pretty happy with that, especially against people that were higher ranked than me. So that was a lot of fun. A sneaky little surprise on the Capcom Fighting Collection too. But let's go on and talk about a game that I played that was a demo that also fairly took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting to have as much fun as I did. And this is a game that is coming to consoles as well, but right now I played a demo, like an alpha version or a beta version that's only on PC. But I wanted to let you guys know about it because when this comes to console, some of you might really be into this, and that's a game called Vindictus Defying Fate. It's apparently based off of a game that was just called Vindictus on PC that was sort of like this online MMO action game. This is more of a remake that takes a little bit more of a Dark Souls approach, but I don't want that to scare you away because the combat actually feels more like a combo mashing heavy action game. There's no crazy, I mean, there is a parry system and you are dodging, but there's no stamina bar. There's no super slow heavy swings coming from the enemies or from your characters. It's definitely a much faster paced combo. Like when I say combo, I mean like you're just pressing X, 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 Y or X, X, Y, Y or just like X, 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 X. I love those kind of action games. They can get a bit repetitive, but there's no complex moves. And some of the bosses can get kind of challenging. I got stuck on one for like a solid 45 minutes or so. But the way it works as of right now is you're able to play through like these very linear outdoor environments with a few branching paths, and then you fight a boss at the end. You're farming gear, you're farming loot to like improve the gear. It's got really beautiful graphics and some really nice character designs. You know, may or may not have influenced my reasoning to play this game, but I had a lot of fun designing my character. There's a very in-depth color system for like the costumes that you get. So I made this really cool looking like pastel purple and green, like Valkyrie looking character with a sword and shield. So that was a lot of fun. The parrying feels really good in this game. Overall, the combat feels excellent. And there's some very light multiplayer where you can kind of go Monster Hunter style with 3 other players online and farm the monsters for loot. There's only a few days left. By the time you see this video, there's probably not going to be much time left to play the demo. I think as of right now, there's only a couple days, like 2 days left to play it when I upload this video. But yeah, I was really enjoying it. I'm not sure when it's going to be coming out, but it is coming to console. Unfortunately, it's developed by Nexon, which means that who knows what they're going to be doing with the microtransactions in this game. But if it is just cosmetics and you can freely play it without worrying about that, I would recommend the game. I had a blast with it. Okay, I also played a game that was kind of in limbo for a couple decades. It's a game called Captain Blood. And this is a game that was originally supposed to come out on the original Xbox back in like 2003 or something. And because of a bunch of delays and legal issues, it kept getting delayed. It was then eventually supposed to come out on the Xbox 360, and it kept getting delayed, and then it just kind of went into this state of like being vaporware. And then a few years ago, a playable demo released for the 360 version, and now finally it is officially released for people to check out and buy. And it really is what it looks like. It's a game that very much emulates the great action games of that generation, mostly God of War, and it's got some really brutal kills and combos and finishers, but unfortunately it kind of suffers from a lot of the same issues that action games had back then. They're extremely repetitive, very tedious after a while, and playing this on normal, I felt like the difficulty was a little unbalanced. Some enemies and bosses were just taking way too much hits, dealing way too much damage, and you weren't getting enough healing potions. If you're up for the challenge, I'd still recommend playing on normal. It's a beautiful looking action game. It harkens back to the old action games we used to get on PS2 and Xbox, and it really feels that way. You can tell this is an unearthed game from that generation and era. But if you're looking for a bit more of a relaxed, fun kind of action hack and slash, I would recommend playing on easy. Just remember that. Take that hint. I also did play Blueprints, and I played this on PlayStation Plus Extra or whatever, where you can, sort of like their Game Pass. So I played it on there. And it's a game where it's a procedurally generated puzzle game where you're like building a mansion as you go. It's a roguelite or roguelike style game, but in puzzle form, where you're building this mansion as you go, placing rooms, getting items, getting keys, getting money, getting more steps, because once you run out of steps, your adventure ends. And this was a game that was being touted by a lot of people as the game of the year for them. So I'm like, okay, I have to check this out. I try my best to play as many game of the years as I can, so that by the end of the year, when games start getting nominated, I can know for myself what I think about it. So Blueprints was really interesting. I got about 5 hours into it, and that's only scratching the surface. There's a lot of cryptic clues and hints, and every room in this game holds secrets, but it was a lot of fun looking around, finding keys and hidden money to keep purchasing upgrades and see how much further I can get. Apparently my first run that I ever did was like one of the best runs that I did in the entirety of those 5 hours that I played. I made it very far and unlocked a lot of things that most people were like, wow, I'd be happy with a run like that, and I've been playing this game for dozens of hours. So it was a lot of fun, very atmospheric, very chill game. I will say if you're into puzzle games, adventure games, and roguelite games, it's definitely something worth checking out. They also have it on Game Pass. I also did play, we're going a little far back here, but obviously I was a bit delayed in being able to talk about some of these games. But I did play, back I think in the end of April, I played a game called Rusty Rabbit. This is a game that was also surprisingly fun but disappointing at the same time, in that it's an action game where you play as a cute little rabbit that has a voice that's going to take you by surprise, and a bunch of other cute little rabbits in this snowy village where he's just going to excavate materials and stuff to build his mechs out. And I honestly don't remember the story. I eventually got to the point where I just started skipping all the story and cutscenes because they were not very good, unfortunately. But the gameplay was serviceable if you like side-scrolling action games. It kind of feels like something that would have came out on Xbox Live Arcade. And price-wise, it is priced appropriately at $19.99, digital only, unfortunately. I think, unless there's a physical coming, I'm not sure. But the music was excellent, excellent, excellent soundtrack in this game. And the whole drilling mechanic, where you're just kind of drilling through blocks, can get very repetitious. So it's kind of the game that you only probably want to play for an hour or two at a time. I would recommend it if you're going to be able to play it handheld. It seems like a game that would be perfect to play on the Switch or Switch 2 or something, especially now with the Switch 2 improving load times. But yeah, it's a pretty simple game. There's really not much to it. The boss battles were probably one of the highlights, I think, from what I recall. The bosses kind of were a nice little challenge. But for a $20 action game with a really cute, interesting idea with the rabbits, there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of story to it, but you may want to skip it. Check out Rusty Rabbit. Now let's talk about, I still got more. I still want to talk about Oblivion Remaster at the end. We're going to save that for the end because that is the game that I played the longest ago. But let's take a break from the modern games here for a second to talk about what I've been playing on the Evercade. And I love my Evercade. I have the Evercade Alpha. That's the little arcade machine. And I occasionally do members only streams for Evercade. So that's the gameplay here that I'm going to be showing you. I do stuff like this for people on YouTube. So I played quite a few Evercade games. I don't finish all of them. Let's talk about the ones that I did finish. I did play, for the first time ever, Mega Man 2, the Power Fighters. And man, I love those Power Fighters games. I played the first one as well, but I really enjoy these. They're super short. You can beat them in like 20, 30 minutes, as you should be able to for an arcade game. And I really like them because they're really not complex. It really just feels like you're playing Mega Man boss battles back to back to back, getting the abilities, trying to piece together what ability to use on what boss, and they look so good on the Evercade screen. So I had a lot of fun with that, and it's really great to be able to play these games with an arcade stick and an arcade controller on the Evercade. Without it, I don't think I would enjoy it quite as much. I also played a game that really took me by surprise. This is one of the highlights, I think, of this entire video. So for those of you that have an ability to play arcade games or Evercade, definitely check this out. It was on the Dataeast collection, or arcade collection number 2. And it's a game called Edward Randy. Now this was supposed to be like one of the most over-the-top cinematic arcade games ever made. It was made in 1990, and wow, it is not joking. This game has some of the most crazy sequences and levels, over-the-top action, bosses. Like, it is so wild. You have to try this game. Unfortunately, the gameplay doesn't quite match the visuals. I wasn't the biggest fan of how the combat handles with a whip, obviously inspired by a certain action series from the time, very heavily inspired by Indiana Jones. But the cinematic features of this game and the boss battles, and just how over the top everything is in this game, it makes it worth checking out. So you can beat it in about half an hour or so, and yeah, you'll probably want to replay it after, because the combat takes a little getting used to. There's a lot of grappling, there's a lot of swinging around, but once you kind of get the hang of that, I think you would at least play it a couple of times. So check out Edward Randy. Took me by surprise. On the Interplay Collection 1, I also finally went back and played a game that I have not played since my childhood, since like, I don't know, it might have been on Sega Channel or I rented it. I didn't own it, but I definitely played it, and that was Clay Fighter. Man, what a fun like coming back to Clay Fighter after all these years and playing with an arcade stick was really fun. Once I settled on a character, I went with Bad Mr. Frosty. His moves were just the most fun to me. Of course, right? Cover character. Can't go wrong with Bad Mr. Frosty. I really like Clay Fighter, I have to say, and I really look forward to playing the sequel, which I've never played before. I'm a big sucker when it comes to games that use sort of these clay stop motion graphics. I was very much into Balls 3D when I was younger because of that faked 3D effect, and I really, really like games that use claymation. And coming back to Clay Fighter was awesome. I actually never played Clay Fighter 64. If I did, I might have rented it. It's hard for me to remember, but it really makes me want to pick up a reproduction cart of the director's cut on N64, or sculptor's cut rather, to try out that version with all the extra characters and stuff. All right, so before we do this, let me just take a sip of water so I can talk a bit about Oblivion Remaster. I've been doing this whole video in one take, no cuts, even though I'm putting some gameplay on top here, but I need a sip of water. Oblivion Remaster, so this is what I was playing before I had to take a few weeks off, and I was having so much fun with it. It came out at the same time. I should also address an elephant in the room here. It came out right around the same time as Expedition 33. And because I had played an early look at Expedition 33, I had essentially played the opening like 5 or 6 hours or so of Clair Obscur. I ultimately decided that I wanted to jump right into Oblivion Remaster and get around to Clair Obscur a little bit later, which I did eventually do, but I'll save that for another video. But I want to focus on Oblivion Remaster here. So I loved Oblivion Remaster from what I've been playing. I think I'm like 20, 25 hours into it. I did have to take a break. I'm coming back to it. I want to jump straight into Shivering Isles, which I've never played before, and people keep telling me how amazing it is. So I really look forward to that. Once I come back, that's what I'm going right into. So far, what I've done in the game is I've done Mage's Guild, and I've just had a blast just running around, going in the random dungeons, looting stuff, finding new gear, exploring the world. It looks beautiful, looks amazing. Not disappointed at all with the visuals. And I had a lot of fun making my character. I chose an Argonian hand-to-hand, so unarmed, bow-wielding, stealth, monk-type character that also has restoration and illusion magic. In all of the Elder Scrolls games I've ever played, I've never gone ranged combat, except for when I played Skyrim in VR. I did use range there because that was super fun. But I never went ranged, and I know it's pretty broken, I know it's pretty overpowered, but doing stealth with the bow is so much fun. And pairing that with hand-to-hand, I was having an absolute blast with that. Because what happens is if I shoot something and it doesn't get one-shotted from the stealth shot from the arrow, I can just put my bow down and just go straight in with some hand-to-hand, and in this game they kind of buffed hand-to-hand so that you're able to disarm, you're able to like stun enemies with your punches, and it's really nice to not have to worry about the carry weight of weapons, not worry about running out of durability for your weapons, and the animations are hilarious. Just going up to random enemies and characters and just punching them to death was really not getting old for me. And I think my magic combination of restoration and illusion has been really fun too. It's kind of taking a while to come into its own with like getting the right spells. I also went alchemy. First time I think I ever went alchemy in Elder Scrolls, especially in Oblivion, and it's busted in this game. Once you start leveling alchemy up and making random potions and selling them, you get so much money. So I've pretty much like been able to buy whatever I wanted from the shops. And man, coming back and playing this game again, it really makes me excited for Elder Scrolls 6, even though I am a little bit hesitant about it. And I know that for the most part, this game was not really handled by the new team at Bethesda. They handed it off to some other company, I forget their name, to do this remaster, but they did a really, really good job on it. And what originally turned me off from playing Oblivion back in the day is I found out about a money glitch, kind of ruined my experience playing the game, because one of my favorite things to do is just to keep finding stuff, keep selling it, keep getting more money, buy a house, upgrade things, upgrade my armor. I guess the ultimate goal would be to buy every house in the game or something. But it's been great, and I really look forward to joining the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood, but that's going to be after Shivering Isles. I do plan on returning to it, so once again, if you want to join me on my adventures, be sure to stop into my streams. My streams for that, I don't do gameplay streams for it on my main channel here, but I do stream it on Twitch, and I am now also streaming on Kick, so for those of you that hate Twitch or don't use Twitch, but for some reason you're using Kick, I am also streaming on Kick. There's no ads on Kick. It's a pretty nice viewing experience. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you guys liked this format where I talk about games I've picked up and also just generally some of the games I've been playing. But yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Let me know what you've been playing down below. Maybe there's a game that you're playing that I missed. There's a lot of games for the Switch 2 that I plan on picking up and trying. Fantasy Life, I want to play some like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with the new updates to that, and maybe Breath of the Wild. Bravely Default HD. We got that Rido game coming out soon, but I think I'm going to get that on the PS5 because of the game key card. Yeah, so thanks guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.